And we're live on the after show for the Jeranism versus Jesse Kozlowski after show. And we are all in some form of agreement that it was a nuclear event 3 times over, according to Jared here. So I need to let some people in here. But as you come in, I'll let you in. And if your mic's working, you can keep talking.
Well, to let people know, Halsoy, go ahead and repeat your question that led to that answer.
Oh, I asked the question because I woke up just a few minutes ago. On a scale from 1 to why haven't we left Earth, made a settlement on Mars, and nuked Earth back to the Stone Age? How bad is it?
And that's where I said we need to nuke Earth 3 times over.
Just to be sure.
And there you have it. So we're live, guys. You can talk. Like, this is pretty much like the other Discord, but we're just on the Great Debate Community channel instead.
So how about that rice experiment?
Yeah, black rice matters.
What?
They had a lengthy discussion about putting rice in jars and loving it and hating it, and somehow that affects it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what this one.
That's
the whole
that
positive negative energy thing.
Yeah, that Emoto guy who was talking about psychic values changing water crystals or something.
Which is so bunk, it's not even funny anymore.
Yeah.
The experiment.
I'm pretty sure if I took a jar of rice and literally physically stabbed it over and over every single day for a couple of years, it would still taste rice.
Well, it was cooked rice. So you cook the rice, you put it in 3 different jars. One of them you say positive encouragement to. Another you say nasty things and you scream and yell at it. And the third one you just ignore completely.
Yep.
Supposedly, the one that you hate and the one you ignore is supposed to rot, while the other one stays fresh and nice.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that for 5 years, then eat it all in one sitting, no matter what it tastes. Just do me a favor and eat it all.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
No.
That was a hell of an ending, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just... it just kind of ended.
Yeah, it very abruptly. I think
Stream over, nothing to see here.
It is very reminiscent of the ending to The Sopranos.
that's awesome. Yeah, somebody dub in "Don't Stop Believing" at the end of it. That would be great. It's really crazy because for a second I looked down at the live chat and it was literally all I was seeing was hashtag and the word rice, and I was like, "Oh God, please don't let this catch on." This.
Oh, we got Rice Lives Matter. We've got what's the other one?
Black rice matters.
Black Rice Matters.
And you know what? What's strange is that you don't see these things going in ahead of time. So like last week with Ken Hogan, if somebody would have said, the number one thing people are going to talk about when this thing's over is an elephant and a pine tree.
Hey, I already got my mug and my T-shirt for elephant and pine tree.
Yeah, so how do you go from flat Earth to Rice Lives Matter?
Well, rice is flat, right? So
No, it's not.
It's oblong.
Cylinder.
It's
hey,
oblate.
I will bet
It's
you
an
money
oblate
it's flat.
cylinder.
It's flat.
It's a
You're just a
cylinder.
shield. You're just a shield.
Where's the curvature?
You're a shield.
I'd like to point one thing out that it seemed like Jesse and Jeremy were just talking past each other with this, but Jared's claim was that refraction was causing sinking, and that makes it look like a globe. And for that to happen, then the atmosphere would have to be exactly opposite. The density gradient would have to be exactly opposite of what we see in reality. And I wish that Jesse would have said that. It would have to be more dense above and less dense below for there to be sinking on an everyday.
Can you hear me now? Testing.
Yes, we
Yes,
can hear you,
we can
Steve.
hear you.
First of all, I want to thank you for spoiling The Sopranos for me because I never watched an episode. Now I won't bother. Now they know the ending. Thank you very much. I did watch it, but I heard what happened. Actually, I did watch the final episode, at least the last few minutes. Fade to Black, but
It was the worst, greatest ending ever.
I've heard. It's not a show. I tell you what, Breaking Bad. That's the only show. Anyways, hi guys. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum assalam.
Whatever you just said, Steve. Fuck off.
Screw you too.
Steve, how the hell did you keep that going for so long with him without wanting to punch your monitor?
Well, I'm drinking. Very much, actually. I've had
Okay.
Total like a shot, actually. I mean, very, very little. But yeah, no, I'm telling you, it isn't easy, right? I mean, we all make.
Hello? Steve? Anyone?
We gave Jeranism equal time. I think we were more than polite to him. I don't think that even when he made his math, faux pas, I wasn't trying to mock him. Did anybody think that I was trying to mock him? Because I wasn't trying to. I thought it was funny because I was actually talking to somebody and I was like, shit, did I mess up? And I was serious. I was like, am I confused here? Did I say it wrong?
It didn't come across as mocking at all. I don't think so.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I did.
Thank you.
I haven't even watched it because I just woke up, Steve. But I have to say that it probably came off as mocking because he can act really, really stupid sometimes. So it's very
Do you think
easy
he's acting?
to. No. Just as not acting. Just behave stupid.
But I was really
Sometimes.
concerned that I said it wrong because I said I wasn't paying a little bit of attention, and I was like, "Fuck, did I mess that up?"
Well,
Shit,
that's what
screw up?
Jaren. Actually, that's what Jaren's really good at. He has this confidence about himself that makes you question what you're actually telling him, right? Even though you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he was very confident about his wrong information.
Confident.
Yes.
It made me question my belief on humanity, but it didn't make me question any of the science. So
yeah.
Hey, Janash.
But here's the thing that
reciprocal works, but then he went off into left field with it.
Here's the thing about that is that we're talking about a guy who doesn't know the definition of pi. He wants to tell us the shape of a sphere, and that
was going
is a problem.
on that. I'm like, look, if you don't have the knowledge, then what good is what you say?
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you just believe it hard enough and you tell the Earth that you love it, it'll be flat.
I want to hug everything now.
We're doing this rice experiment for sure.
Yeah, Steve,
we're
I
gonna
was
do this. Somebody's got
there
to
bring me in.
God.
No, it has been done. It has been done.
No, yeah, I understand. It's been done. I know. I remember the name of the guy that did it, Dr. Monsanto or Monso or whatever freaking name is.
No, it's one of like hundreds though. He was one of
I
hundreds.
know the story. I mean, I remember the guy. He thought that water had memory.
Yeah, but that's different than the rice thing.
Yeah, he's the same premise though.
Yeah.
Same guy.
It's the same idea, though. Psychic waves affecting
Yeah.
stuff.
Yo, Steve,
You guys
I'm
get that when I
gonna share
said-
you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna share you a link in the stream chat. It has been done. Like that is just one person who has tried to recreate the experiment. So, like I said, it has been done, and it has been shown.
You got to have a procedure. You got to have a null hypothesis. You got to have controls. Did anybody think that was off to ask him for that?
No, I think that's the point is that he doesn't understand how a proper scientific experiment is set up. You need to control as many of the variables as possible in order to accurately test it.
Well, I don't think that's what he was going for, though. I agree with you there, but what he was saying was that he was trying to make the point that for the things that you can't make a procedure for, or that you can't quantify, then that's automatically dismissed as not science. He wasn't trying to say
that's not true. That's not true. That's what we call statistics. I mean, statistics can pretty much cover anything like that. And
right.
It's not that there is no way to make an experiment like that. There is a way to do it. It's just that he doesn't want to do it because he likes the comfort feeling that he has of believing that he has this knowledge that no one else does.
And I'm not saying either one way or the other that you can or you can't. I'm just saying from where he was coming from, I think that's where he was headed. He was trying to say that, like love and stuff like that, you can't put into numbers, so that automatically gets dismissed.
Well, even that doesn't matter. You just start with as much love, as much hate, and as much apathy as you can get at. Worry about your dose response characteristics later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think he was trying to articulate that he agreed that you can't make that an official, proper science.
Well, I think that's fallacious, because you can, and people do try to quantify love and hate and emotions all the time. I mean, that's
but they usually way they quantify it. I mean, you can quantify it. Let's say I want to say, okay, if I have a certain amount of oxytocin in my system, is oxytocin? I want to say oxytocin.
Oxytocin is
right?
what's released after you have sex, Steve.
It's also released other times.
Yeah, I thought oxycodone's better, but for different reasons. But so you could quantify it, with some kind of biochemistry, I assume. But that's only quantifying the chemical. It doesn't quantify the actual.
You can quantify it with statistical, polling.
You could do a model. Yes,
there's all types of things that you can do as far as setting up surveys and stuff like that. There's ways to quantify it.
I think you'd make a case for that, sure, but you're still not dealing with an empirical thing. I mean, love itself is a non-tangible.
I think he was
color blue is a non-tangible. The color blue for color of realism doesn't exist. There's no such thing as the color blue outside of your mind.
Do you know if anyone's asked him
quantify someone's sincerity?
Right.
Case. Well, there is a way to quantify Jaren's sincerity, and I think it goes into the negatives based on what he was saying about religion in his initial rant in this one, because he's been caught talking out both sides of his mouth about religion.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, whenever the
longer than I have. I mean, we have some people in here right now that have been, you guys have some history with him, right? I mean, especially Houseoy. I mean, you guys know him better than I do. So, I mean,
as far as flat earthers go, I mean, I'm different than the rest of my peers. But as far as flat earthers go, he's one of the more likable ones, even though he is
he's likable,
dishonest at times.
I'm not saying he's not likable. Yeah, he's completely likable. Very, very congenial.
Yeah.
My question is, though, how much is it of his an act? How much is it of his honest inquiry?
Well, that's a constantly going thing for me. Sometimes I feel like he's intentionally lying, and sometimes I think he's just being stupid. But I don't know which one it is at any given time.
Yeah, your definition of a perfect Poe.
Well, with the whole thing about the circle, circumference, and diameter and pi, it was really tough to nail down. Was his issue with what you were saying genuine stupidity, or him just playing it up as, well, what do you mean that's what it is?
I've publicly stated before that I think when it comes to various fields of science, he's actually being dishonest, simply because he's been told the right things so many times over that unless he's not actually listening, it's impossible for him to not know that he's wrong.
I'm in the same opinion. I agree with you there.
But when it comes to like the whole thing, like pi thing, I don't even because I haven't watched it yet, right? I've never heard him talk about pi and not understanding what pi is. But in that case, I'm sure it's just a matter of actually being ignorant or stupid.
The thing that nobody really mentions.
He's done that. Sorry, go ahead.
The thing that nobody really mentions is that he says things like, and he does this artistically. He says things like, the telescope doesn't know that things are getting smaller in the distance. Well, I mean, technically he's correct, but also that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, yeah, the telescope doesn't know because it's not sentient.
That would raise rice.
That has nothing to do with geometry. The geometry of the situation is completely separate from whether or not the telescope knows something. I don't understand. I don't even understand what he means by that.
He means he personified his telescope and named it George.
No, that is where his whole price thing comes in. He thinks there are subjective things and science cannot measure certain things. Hence, he can dismiss the objective facts like geometry, so on and so forth.
Yeah, science can't measure certain things. I mean, science doesn't claim to be able to measure everything, but that doesn't mean that we don't understand geometry, and that's the thing that we should totally hold him to the fire
giving
on.
you my interpretation of what his thought process is. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But, when it comes to
I was agreeing with you.
When it comes to thought process, for years I did professional magic and mentalism and things like this. And from the audience perspective, people can become convinced that something was the case when it's not. And some of the flat earth proponents out there seem to be genuinely dishonest, but I wonder how much of it is just that they've psychologically entered a perspective, so they're literally seeing things in a different way.
Well, you're talking about a shut-eye type condition? Because I used to do what's called chiromancy, and chiromancy is palm reading. And yes, I never believed in. Well, when I was like maybe 11, right, 12. But I mean, I knew that was bullshit. And what I used it for was to show people that I could use hot and cold reading, just like you have done, just like mentalists have done. I got pretty good at it.
Yeah.
So look, I could use very vague, open-ended statements. I can use observational techniques, and I actually had people at one time, and more than one, several, that would say, "I know that you think it's fake, Steve, but you do it so well that you probably have some latent, ability you're not aware of." And I'm like, "Holy fuck!" No, I'm not kidding.
I think that there's some people that do palm reading, and they don't realize that it's something that isn't real. And they are trying to interpret some vague sign or relation that they've become convinced is true. And it's almost the same sort of attitude where they'll go with the flat earth, well, have you looked at this? Maybe this is what it means. Maybe this is what's being hidden. And it's this weird interpretation of society at large.
Well, so I think also there's a great episode from James Randi, where he actually deals with someone that does this. But it is functionally cold reading.
Hopefully,
and the person. Shit! My second alarm is going off. Give me a second.
Yeah, like by the way, he spouted so much bullshit there that I was like, you don't even know where to begin on certain things, like the RISE thing, the GPS. There's just so much going on right there.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that if Jeranism had taken some actual courses, like some actual math courses or something like that, do you think you'd be able to understand, you may not have to agree with, but do you think you'd be able to understand the reasoning why people do accept a round earth model?
I don't think he's unintelligent in that sense.
I think he'd be better off if he studied that delusion.
But it kind of, so there's a question I've been wanting to ask, because I'm not sure if anyone's ever asked him this, which relates to this. Like, has anyone ever asked him if he thinks statisticism or empiricism is the best way to go about finding truth? Because I don't think he's directly unintelligent. I just think he's very, very, very uneducated in most things.
Yeah.
And actively lying now.
It could be.
Because there's been a couple of people that have actually more or less stated that statisticism is a better way to go around finding truth, which is absolutely asinine.
No, dude, like, you don't even have to go there. Like, when he talked about GPS, he has absolutely no clue, or either he's unwilling to actually look into it, or he's willingly ignoring it, because GPS is not the only positioning system, like he said, the world has. China has one, Russia has one, India has one, Japan has one. Private companies are working on their own. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you can use a Raspberry Pi, and there is open source interpretations of, like, open source projects on GitHub, where you can just download them and read the GPS data yourself.
Yeah, it's not like it's a closed system anymore, really.
Yeah,
so
hasn't been for years.
Real quick, do you think Reg thinks that Jeranism is? I mean, he's played his oldest adversary. Do you think he thinks Jeranism is bullshitting, or do you think he actually thinks that Jeranism believes his own bullshit?
From talking with Red, that was actually when I first met Red. That was a topic that came up really early in it, and a lot of the rhetoric that Jeranism started out with initially was consistent both in private and in public. So there is some bit of genuine belief at the core of it, but how much of it he puts on just to put on a good show to keep the bankroll going, that's the question.
Okay, so do you think that, okay, let me rephrase it. Do you think that if he figured out that the Earth isn't flat, do you think he would change it and lose all that revenue?
Oh, no.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, but would he lose the revenue? Couldn't he just flip to the other side and make money being the
I don't think he would survive it.
Look at Tiger Dan.
He wouldn't get...
Tiger Dan was a flat earther. He actually went out and honestly tried to make a flat map work and the model work. Couldn't. Announced that he couldn't, and that everything he did was pointing towards the globe, and then he was ostracized.
Was Tiger Dan actually real? Because of the one video I saw, he was waving a camera around trying to prove how the Earth clearly didn't spin, and it just sounded a bit like it was a fucking satire.
Okay, how much flat Earth sounds like satire when you think about it honestly and intelligently?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean like his tone of voice and shit.
Oops, was it just the flat earthers, or the round earthers also say, "Hey, look it, we told you all this all along. Get the fuck out. We don't care anymore. We don't give a shit that you came to our position." Which group's ostracizing?
No, yeah, it was definitely the flat earthers, because I personally wanted to interview the guy and I could never get a hold of him.
I was under the impression before, and I could be wrong on this, and you guys might be right. I'm willing to accept correction, reproof on it, but I thought that, look, if you have a flat earther, especially a big one, and they start noticing a dip in their revenue, and they switch sides and say, look, you know what, I am now going to be a staunch advocate for the other side and use all my knowledge that I've had by being, this other position, they might make some money doing that. Maybe more. I don't know. Now, again, I don't know. No. I don't know if that's going to be something that's viable. You guys tell me there's already been something that tried that and it failed, so I'm going to take your word for that. That Tiger guy.
Yeah, you don't make any money on the other side. I promise you that.
I mean, the whole thing almost strikes me then. It's like the.
Are you including shield dollars?
Right. But
well, I mean, yeah, my NASA check helps.
But I'm saying, look at how many ex-flat earthers do you know going around saying that, look, I was a flat earther, I fucked up. Let me explain to you why I fucked up, and then putting actual science out. I've never seen one.
No, I've never seen that.
I haven't seen that.
No, it doesn't happen.
Anyway.
That flat earther that does that, see, I'm saying he might be able to make that work. I don't know.
Maybe if he can market
I don't think
it right.
So, man. Like the reason being, see, yeah, go ahead. I
was saying maybe if he marketed it right with like somebody who's like a Joe Rogan type who would be interested in something like that,
Possibly, yeah. You'd leverage it correctly, yeah.
Right, exactly.
I'm saying it's not impossible to pull that out.
Yeah.
I just think that if you held that belief that the Earth is flat, nobody trusts your judgment. You come away from that, you just can't recover.
Yeah, it would be kind of fun to come back.
I don't know about that. Look at that. I mean, I don't know about maybe for the flat Earth, but that
could be wrong.
Part of the Westboro Baptist Church or whatever, they turned around and said, "Hey, I believed some crazy stuff," and went on speaking tours and a whole bunch.
But she was into that from when she was young.
If
it was indoctrination, people forgave her for that.
If you had the ability to pull yourself out of a cultish type mentality or situation, that's worth talking about. I mean,
I'm not saying that they are actually worthy of being, shunned or something. It's just that I don't know. I think flat Earth is just too potato.
If I could find, let's say for example, Jaren one day wakes up and he says, "Okay, the Earth's a globe," and I would pick that guy's brain until I got every ounce of understanding out of how he made that switch. Because that's my whole goal with my channel.
I want to know is who is the person funding this stuff for him? I mean, is there that? Okay, look I want an honest answer. If I mean, not that you guys may be dishonest, but I want you to think about this. Look, there are two types of flat earthers that I will categorize. One, honest believers. Two, pose. This is kind of segregate them from each other. So let's make that dichotomy. Okay. Now, the pose are not going to give him fucking money. I don't think. No. Yeah, it's possible, but I don't think Pose are going to donate because it doesn't help them, portray that there's some kind of real flat earther in real time. That's what they get off of. So the honest believers, aren't they the ones kind of giving him the money?
Yep.
There's rich guys somewhere that think it's hilarious to watch these debates.
I agree.
He also has a radio show now, though, with True Talk Radio.
I don't think it's necessarily just the flat earthers giving him money. I think there's also the occasional skeptic who's like, here you go, here's 50 quid, yeah? You prove your experiment, I want to watch the results fuck up. You know? Like if I was
well, that's okay, fair enough.
If I was fucking rich, I would literally buy a fucking rocket for him to go up into fucking space with his little shitty camera.
A steam-powered rocket?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'd buy him a tourist ticket on the Soyuz, no problem, if I had the money.
It's a good point. I think a lot of people do want to see them do these experiments and fail miserably.
I would not.
The thing is, though,
he's been offered things like that, not as grand, of course, but Wolfie 6020 offered to fly him and his family to Australia, which he declined. I immediately turned around and said, Wolfie, I'll take the shot. Yeah, I'll take the trip. Yeah, please.
Yeah, stop by Europe. I'll meet you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hit you right to Australia. No,
I'll pick
problem.
you up on the way.
Hello, Housesoy, by the way. Long time no see.
I was thinking it's been a really fucking long time.
But yeah, I mean, people have offered things like this. Reg Rhetoric offered to pick him up at the airport, give him a place to stay, give him a P900 so he could come watch a rocket launch. I'm like, hey, Reds, I want to watch a rocket launch. It's like,
hey, Red's girlfriend even offered to pay for the airfare.
Yeah, and you should become an
I was wondering where that's going when you said Red's girlfriend offered.
Oh, God.
But another thing to think about all this as it pertains to Jeranism. Over the last year and a few months that I've been loosely watching some of the bullshit that he's been putting out, he has had a handful of opportunities to be intellectually honest with the results of the experiments that he has tried. And yet how many results have actually been put out by him publicly and stayed available more than a few days?
Well, it's not only that, but recently Flat Earth Core did a unlisted live stream that was supposed to be a test run for their next day experiment of a 30-mile laser test. And the next day came and went, and that's, 2 weeks ago now, Jared? And we still don't have any...
3 weeks?
Yeah, so we still don't have any feedback from that. There was never a live stream.
Their current waffle on that whole experiment is they have the results, they're just waiting to get all of their ducks in a row kind of situation.
I have some subscribers tell me that they have confirmation, and of course this is all anecdotal, but they have confirmation that it failed, and that's why they haven't released anything.
So I have an
either
anecdote.
way, just from what the hubbub from their end is that they're waiting for all of their results to be placed into a video form.
I have an anecdote. There's a guy that comes onto Jim Panda's Discord that was there, like he was actually there, and apparently they refused him because he wanted to go out on the middle point of where the beam would have been and measure the height of the beam, but they refused him to like he was not allowed to do that. Which is kind of a red flag in and of itself, because that's like almost the only thing that matters is if it's closer to the ground or higher from the ground on the middle point. That was refused.
Who is that?
So his name is
Human Sheeple.
Yes, Sheeple. Yes.
Guy from Cyprus. Yeah.
Surely, one of the best things to do is just have a fucking competition with Jeranism, where you each get a long-range fucking cannon, and you both go opposite ends with your long-range cannon, and he uses all the flat Earth mathematics to work out his trajectory, and you use all of the normal mathematics used to work out trajectory and to take into account the Coriolis effect, and see who hits their target.
You do realize that you're talking about somebody who didn't understand pi, right?
Oh, Actually, Steve, I actually wanted to come on this for a few reasons. And one was because you actually asked me a question while the live stream was going.
Memory?
RE9.
You cut out, Sean.
Yeah.
9 is actually already in orbit now. It's already parked in its orbit that it's going to be using.
Sean, you cut out for a second. You were talking about Himawari 9. Say it again.
You said Himawari 9 was already in orbit. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
RE9 actually put in orbit in 2016.
Yeah, it's waiting yet.
Mode until either 2022 or 2020 or until Himawari 8 fails. Its scheduled on time is 2020 though.
Shout out to Sean Hufford for everything I know about Himawari at all.
Yeah, no shit. I think he's for all the people on YouTube. Sean is definitely the go-to guy for Himawari.
Dude, you've done an incredible job with that stuff.
So I shouted out to him. I'm like, maybe how else do I know that? Obviously.
In perspective, because they're always saying, why can't we see satellites from other satellites? The Himawari 8 is parked at 0 degrees north and 140.7 degrees east. Is the closest satellite to it now. It's sitting at 0 degrees north and at 140 east. It's 0.7 degrees away. It translates to about 653 miles or so. To Himawari 8.
Yeah, and what's the resolution? And yet, 9's going to be?
Satellites.
Do you know what Himawari means, Sean?
Two.
Himawari means sunflower.
Oh, check him out. Yeah.
Who won the debate?
He owns you.
Was there a debate?
You know when
the resolution.
You know when Jism was going on about how he's not religious. I'd really have loved someone to say, then why did you stand up at the Flat Earth Conference and say they're hiding God from us?
Yeah. Good question.
Well, and Steve, that was actually going to be my question if there was a Q&A, was asking him why the flip-flop on religion, where back in 2015, we have a quote where he was talking to Red's Rhetoric and gave a colorful phrase as it pertained to Jesus and Christianity, but then he says that at the conference, and then he's back to an anti-religious rhetoric at the beginning of this hangout.
Well, he said pretty much
he
the
gave you
same
an
thing.
answer, right? Like he gave you an answer. Like he said, just because some guys misrepresented what they saw, or like some guys willingly lied in their books, doesn't mean there is no creator.
Yeah, he's
But no, here's the thing. At the conference,
God. He said God. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
At the conference, he says, why are they lying about the flat earth? Because they're hiding God.
He said God.
You don't need to believe in a God to be religious, nor do you need to be religious to believe in a God.
Yeah.
The flip flop.
That's
the whole point. The whole point of Jaren doing his flip flop is it's depending on the audience he's talking to on who he can make the most money from.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that one.
I really wanted to get into Jeranism, man. Like half the shit he said, that was glorious. Like I wanted to like most of his points were from the typical American centric perspective. So if I just threw astronomy and science from other countries like India or China, I mean, so I wanted to see how he would react.
Want me to get G-Man in it for you?
Good Lord.
Sure.
God.
Oh no!
Dude,
don't even go there.
Doesn't matter.
I'm dying to have a talk with him. I don't know why.
I am.
I don't know. But why, dude? Just why?
Okay. One, because he is funny. Okay.
Hilarious.
Yeah, he is hilarious. Two.
I disagree.
I disagree as well. I wish he
depends on your sense of
here.
humor.
Ban these people. Ban them now. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, G-Man is hilarious in an infuriating way.
That's probably true.
Besides,
what I would find interesting is to hear a conversation about something like flat Earth, because G-Man does believe in the globe. You got to give him that.
No, he doesn't.
Maybe.
Oh,
well, I'm going to say this on the
I don't
G-Man.
know agnostic on that, and he also says
he's gone that route now.
Seem to have some good arguments. Oh yes, where have you been?
Oh God, imagine him talking with Spurs Chemo.
Here's the reason why
I don't know.
Here's the reason why he did all that changeover. He did all that changeover about saying flat earthers have good arguments now is because he tried to debate 3 flat earthers and failed miserably because he's an uneducated dumbass.
No surprise there.
Let me ask you, Houseway, how dumb do you have to be to fuck up a discussion with a flat earther?
Yeah, that's reasonable.
I doubt he knows anything about geometry.
See, Houseway, did you see the experiment? Oh, well, very loosely. Did you see what G-Man did to show water sticking to a globe kind of thing with his little 5-gallon jug? Did you see that?
No.
See that?
No.
Oh.
With a ball?
So because, I guess...
So what did he do? Go on.
He doesn't understand gravity just like flat earthers don't. So the way he wanted to demonstrate to Arcane Logos and Flat Out Elected, which is Rand Campbell, anybody else in that group, was he took a 5-gallon water jug and he put water in it and he kind of like, spun it around going, oh, look, it sticks to the inside. It's like, I think you're missing what the flat earthers are trying to argue. And even Arcane Logos laughed at it. When Arcane Logos actually think you're dumb, you got to be pretty stupid.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you've seen
Well, hold on. Arcane Logos thinks everybody's stupid apart from Arcane, so you can't really argue that.
Literally, where he might be right on that, that somebody actually is dumb. That's pretty bad when Arcane's right on that for a change.
You've seen Dell, right?
Sorry. So the other thing I'd like to ask Jism or people like Jism, when they're so attacking science, ask them what's a better way of doing it. Do they ever propose a better way?
No. They just say, oh, your method we can't rely on and it's not proven. But it's all one big epistemic uncertainty game. I mean, young Earth creationists do the same thing.
One thing I would have to say.
Better methods than the scientific method. They never propose a better way of doing it.
Well, look, there is a better way. You've got to find a book that was written by people who didn't know where the sun went at night, and that clearly must have all the answers to the universe in it.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's the reason he's able to justify.
I'm pretty sure that a dragon eats the sun every night. That's what I learned growing up, at least, wasn't it?
It's turtles all the way down, man. It's turtles all the way down, not dragons.
Turtles all the way down.
Steve, I have a positive criticism for you. I would have to say this.
Criticism. Go ahead.
We do have proof. Right, we do have scientific proof. It's not deductive; it's inductive proof, but we still have it. I mean, it's still called proof, right?
Soundly, I disagree. Soundly, I disagree. No, so I say I have to disagree because science doesn't deal with it with proof. Proofs are what you find in logic and math. Science deals with explanations that can never be actually proven. But I'm also a scientific instrumentalist. I'm not a realist. But I do believe that you would just say something is proving means it cannot change. We know science changes, so therefore it cannot be proven on anything. We want science to change. We want it to learn. So even scientific facts can change.
Aren't you just describing inductive proof, though?
Okay. One quick thing. Going by that, Steve, remember his assertion, in his introduction, when he was talking about mathematical models being constructed after observations? That is how things should work. I don't know what his problem is there.
Well, with Jaron, the thing that he explained halfway through, maybe, he was saying you got to look at what they actually present, and then what was it exactly? You got to see how they could possibly deceive you, and if you find a way that they could possibly deceive you, you have to assume that they're doing that or something like that.
That's just ridiculous. Again, that is just an epistemic uncertainty position. That's not how anything's done.
But that's how.
Yeah, everybody can say I don't believe it or I doubt it, but you have to actually show some concrete proof to convince others.
One of the things I noticed, Steve,
what you're up against with him
is when he was talking, he was saying that he wasn't religious, and then of course saying he believes in a God. But I mean, it's an easy position for him to take because you can't really point at any major religion that I can think of that says the Earth is flat. So even the people who are using the argument of the flat Earth is hiding God are going to agree with that because they're going to say, well, Catholic Church, they're in on the conspiracy. They believe in the globe. Baptists, they believe in the globe. They're in on it. So there isn't really a religion I'm aware of, unless you count flat Earth as a religion unto itself, that really, is on their side.
It could
well,
be.
they are
because
tax exempt under a religion now.
Have to be, comporting to what we think of as a religion. Look at, I mean, the flat Earth narrative out there is almost cult-like. Let's be realistic. It has a lot of tenets, a lot of things that are out there. I think it can be construed as a religion in some ways. It's multifaceted.
I would agree.
Not just one proposition. It's not to say the Earth is flat. In order to be a flat Earther, you have to adopt all the fucking baggage and bullshit that goes along with that. You have to deny physics. You have to deny math. You have to deny science. And so I think it is more of a entire worldview or religion than it is a one propositional thing.
It's a belief system.
That's most of the cases. But if you have a flat earther say that accepts evolution, and I'm surprised to see that they do exist, then I guess they wouldn't really fit under that category.
I think the thing that's consistent is a selective denial of reality.
Oh, and it's very ad hoc. They'll accept it in certain instances, but not in all instances.
Exactly. If you're talking about the Van Allen belts, all of a sudden they accept the science that the Van Allen belts exist, so we can't fly through them.
Do you know what a good white whale would be? Find us, anybody out there, whoever watches this, please find us. Find us a PhD in any type of science that is a confirmed flat earther. That would be the white whale that I think everybody in here would love to have a discussion with. Would you not?
Yeah, but then you could be talking about somebody who's got like a PhD in anthropology or some shit.
No, dude.
Steve, you can just science, hard sciences, but whatever.
Yeah, instead of creation research, I probably think he would be a flat earther.
Find me a physicist that believes in flat Earth, and that would be an interesting discussion.
Rocket scientist out there with a PhD that can demonstrate rockets don't work in space.
Well, that man Mike has a PhD in stupidity. I mean, that guy's gonna die.
Kind of dog on the guy. Nice guy.
Damn, good one.
He is a nice guy, which I'm really concerned for his well-being.
He's still gonna do it?
There's actually lots of them. The government just killed them all.
Oh, you think?
You crop up.
You think he's going to give up? I mean, he's probably going to...
I haven't seen anything in the news.
Of course not. It's covered up. It's part of the conspiracy.
Well, that's what Arn Ross said. Look at Arn Ross said, dude, if you go up there, and by the way, he wasn't using this launch to show flat Earth. He's actually trying to do something that's like 62.5 miles above the Earth's surface. But he said, if you get up that high and you survive for some miraculous reason, is around, then all of a sudden you become part of the conspiracy. Sure, you know it, but nobody's gonna fucking believe you.
Same thing for shooting flat earthers into space. If we do that, all of a sudden they're MK Ultra victims.
Yeah, the government just brainwashed them.
Yeah.
That, or they go a step farther, where the real Jeranism is dead, and the government replaced him with a shill.
Well, I tell you what,
flat Earth buddies over here for the live feed, by the way.
Well, I mean, there was people saying that Stephen Hawking had been replaced years ago or something. That he was being controlled.
They say that they just put a cripple in a wheelchair and gave him a robot voice, and he's not actually...
Yeah, they just updated him to Windows 10.
Didn't Jaron even say that?
Oh, yeah. Jaron has said that on multiple times, that he was an actor because no one could live that long with ALS, which I say, pardon my French, is complete bullshit, because I know someone in my personal life away from all of this stuff that was diagnosed with ALS about 27, 28 years ago.
I think he lived the longest, though. I mean, that is true.
Yes,
right? Okay.
He has lived the longest, but he was also the most financially well-off person with ALS that was known about publicly. That kind of goes into it.
Right? Doctors.
Yeah.
And obviously he grew up in a place that had universal health care.
Also, you want to bet, how much do you want to bet that if the situation arose, someone like Jaron or whatever would say, like, well, doctors are wrong about their diagnoses. They say you got like a few months to live, and then people end up living longer.
I mean, can't you apply the same epistemic concern and you say, oh, well, doctor told you have this, and he's prescribed this, but you know what? He could be wrong, so let's not take the medication. That's the approach that I see Jeranism taking.
Well, that's what...
I mean, there are people who do that.
Yeah,
of course there are. Sure.
There are people who have that question. Sometimes I am one of them. It's called getting a second opinion.
Oh, the other thing, he advocated for his rice experiment thing with relation to Alzheimer's, saying that if you were just nice to your old folks, that they wouldn't get it.
What?
Yeah, did you hear that in the hangout?
Yeah,
he
I
did
heard
imply
say
that.
that. I mean, I don't know how that factors in for like early onset Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Apparently, cannabis is supposed to be good for treating Alzheimer's. Apparently, it helps remove the plaques.
It's also good for turning people into flat earthers.
I've never heard of the rice experiment. I've seen the.
We're not talking your average stoner, right?
No, that guy was there was more than stoner involved there. Soundly, there was more than stoner. He was
he was rice experiment.
You know who I'm talking about specifically?
It sounds like the same as the water crystal experiment to me.
No, it was your friendly neighborhood of flat Earth.
Oh
Zero.
yeah, flat out hero.
Flat
yeah,
out
that guy.
Zero.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord!
I
removed
that from my channel.
It's the same guy.
Yeah, it's Mimoto or
Mimoto and Moto or something. Masimoto, Moto. Yeah, whatever the guy's name is.
Yeah.
He's dead. He died a couple years ago. But 4 years ago? 3, 4 years ago? Yeah. Oh, too soon?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess even if the experiment worked, you'd have to say, okay, well, what are you proving?
I mean, did I make sense to people when I said that, look, even if the experiment showed that this particular jar turned black and this one didn't and this one turned purple polka dot, you still have to provide a causal mechanism by which an emotion can cause that kind of change.
Yeah, well, you can't just assume that it's emotion.
So I don't think that's the case. I think that if you could consistently reproduce, okay, we can consistently make this jar of rice turn black and this jar of rice stay good looking, and it seems to work far greater than chance would determine, then you can say there must be a mechanism and start looking for what the mechanism is.
There's a couple things that Jaren did wrong. One, he's got a sample size of 1. So he's gonna have an
thing too, I noticed, right.
abysmal p-value.
Yeah, there's no p-value at all.
Which he doesn't even know what p-value is, so there you go.
Second, he never said what kind of controls that he had in place to rule out all variables except for emotional input to the rice.
Yeah, he doesn't understand that point. Like, he doesn't understand that we need to control for all of the conditions as much as possible.
Yeah,
remember when Steve asked him, like, why do you need this? Like, why do you need that? That was his response. He was using his canned responses there. So
his response was, "My control is I assume that nothing would happen."
Yeah. But I do agree for most experiments, you're probably right. I mean, for the not having to provide a mechanism. My argument should have been, and I probably could have clarified this better, since you're positing natural causation, because you're literally saying that emotions having some effect at a distance, not relating to things like agitation or pheromones causing something. So there's nothing transferred except emotions. And to me, that falls under supernaturalism. To me, I think at that point you are required to provide a mechanism for that.
No, they have a mechanism. You see, it's like good thoughts produce good vibrations, and bad thoughts provide negative vibrations. And these kind of when you have negative thoughts, they transmit as waves, and obviously those waves would then pass through the rice, and the different waves would have different effects.
Well, now it's
at least that's what I understand from what spirit science has said.
Yeah, exactly.
But the problem is
very Deepak Chopra.
A very Deepak
It's like the magnetic universe people.
No. Even ignoring that, they have to demonstrate that.
Oh, he believes the electric universe?
He does.
I think he's fond of electric universe. Yeah, kind of surprising.
I know a guy who's super smart, but he's really into that, and I don't understand it, because in every other computer programmer, really smart, does understand math, talks sensible about just about anything. Fully bought into the electric universe shit though, and I have no clue.
Dude, that doesn't mean shit. Like I'm a programmer and I have my master's. You wouldn't believe half the shit my colleagues believe.
Well, I suppose
they really do. They have like a lot of woo-woo shit, dude.
Oh yeah, every bit of woo there.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not an
electrical.
Dude, especially if you're talking about I mean, since I'm in India, there is a lot of woo shit. Everything from anti-vax to ancient knowledge, every bullshit out there. I can point you to at least one who believes in it.
Oh, It's worse in my job, Steve. It's worse. Like some of the people that I deal with in the fab, like, because I tell them basically what programs to run on which machines. The robots that make the semiconductors, they're monkeys basically. they don't actually they have their own little world, their own little social order, and some of the stuff I hear from them in email, it's like, oh my god, if I could actually share it, I would, but it's obviously company proprietary. I can't share that stuff outside the company.
Real quick,
fired.
In the live chat there, Lusty McButt, what a name, Lusty McButt. He posted in the Great Debate Community the Impossible Rights experiment, and I put the link in the chat, and I'll put it again in case you guys missed it. But I haven't watched it yet. But I mean, is this confirmation, or is this a debunking video? Just out of curiosity.
No idea.
I'm not sure, but
where are you looking?
The YouTube live chat.
Why do they use white rice? I mean, are they have something against like darker color rice or brown rice?
No, white rice.
I think they're racist.
No, white rice is
white rice power.
Rice is
brown rice. Brown rice is something you find only in the U.S.
No, dude, I think you're covering from. These are very racist individuals. Sorry.
Oh, it's because Jared thinks that black rice doesn't matter.
Because I've eaten only white rice all my life.
I love brown rice. Oh, it does.
I hate brown rice because I didn't grow up with it probably. So,
brown rice.
Yeah, I'm a brown guy, but I don't like brown rice.
Black rice matters. That's all I gotta say.
Jeranism thinks that eating rice will make him smarter.
The link doesn't work. For some reason, links don't work any longer. Occasionally in the live feeds.
I know how to fix that. You put it in quotes, and it'll work.
But you're a genius.
If I can,
yes, you're right.
Derail for one more thing that I want to bring up from the Jaren chat. GPSs and drones. He says that the drones don't decode all the GPS information. I can firsthand say that yes, it does, because I actually pull the flight logs telemetry into my videos, and for a 5-10 minute flight, these flight logs are over a meg.
Yeah,
and they're so huge because they're storing every single bit of satellite data that it gets for the GPS signal. It actually has everything Jesse was talking about in my flight logs.
Yep,
it's straight in a text file.
Right.
And Sean overlays it on his videos.
And I've seen it.
Aaron,
I've seen it.
You just made an assertion. I have already debunked.
Yeah.
Sean, when are you doing your tutorial for that, by the way?
I need to do it with Wolfie privately before I actually make it into a full-fledged video, so I get all of the facts straight, because there's a lot of steps to do it, and it's really, really convoluted because one program that is needed has a bug.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
I do think the Walkera does it, by the way. It's in a different place.
Dashboard program that I use to actually overlay the telemetry does not support the Walkera format yet.
Oh, really?
Damn. Wow, real quick, I cannot believe the title. I mean, G-Man has dug in his heels. He now has a hangout called Love This. Love this. Doctors know chemotherapy will kill you faster than no treatment at all. This guy's a death peddler. Death fucking peddler. You are a death peddler, G-Man. Death peddler.
Congratulations.
What was the title again?
Stupid.
New low, even for G-Man.
And Steve, I already had a headache.
Steve, what was the title again?
Tell me that.
Is Lusty McButt a flat earther?
Chemotherapy will kill you faster than no treatment at all.
No, Lusty McButt. No, Lusty McButt is not a flat earther.
I would like him to meet my family, dude. Fuck.
But
I know cancer survivors that would not be alive had it not been.
Brother lived 10 years longer because of chemotherapy, so he could. Yeah. So G-Man can fuck right off, and he's a death merchant.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people.
I can point you to YouTubers who lived longer because of chemotherapy.
There's a bunch of women that do runs around the world in pink shirts that prove that that's wrong.
Oh wait, what did you guys say about Lusty McButt? I didn't hear. I'm curious. By the way, Lusty McButt's a girl? Oh, she's not a flat earther, no. But is she a girl? I never knew.
Just you can never tell these days from names.
I don't know. There's a 1 in 100 chance.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I want everybody. I mean, I'm happy if everybody keeps calling G-Man Death Peddler. It seems to be taken off. Or Death Merchant.
Just another reason I didn't want to.
Since Stanley brought up the run for cancer survivor or for cancer treatment, on every October. At the store who are alive because of chemotherapy.
Yeah.
Stop pushing death to people, man.
They're just alive. They jog a lot.
We're going to be talking about some of this stuff on the Geek Room on Friday. Riffing.
Yo, dude,
on,
I want it. Please.
Well, the only problem is we already have 4 people on there right now because it's going to be Kyle, myself, and then Frankie and Brandon. But I mean, if we can sneak a 5th person in, you'd be my ultimate choice. I love that.
Please do it. Yeah.
When it comes to cancer, I got weird, but when it comes to cancer, I got lucky because my tumor was entirely still within my kidney, and instead of doing the chemo thing or cutting out part of the kidney, I just had the whole kidney removed. I'm down to 1 kidney now, but I got the easy way out for cancer.
If you had nothing done, would you be alive?
Not be alive right now.
And that's usually the consensus. And by the way, Frankie, and this is public knowledge, Frankie's, I believe his dad had prostate cancer, and he decided to go an alternative route. And they could have treated it at the time. They could have just done it, through chemotherapy, and it would have been done and whatever. But now, it's requiring surgery and a massive amount of chemo and radiological and a bunch of other shit because he waited too long. That's the danger.
That was a similar case with my mom. She had uterus cancer, uterus and ovary, but it was localized, so they were able to just remove it surgically. She didn't have to undergo long-term chemotherapy,
The live chat, and if I can address the live chat for you, Steve, because apparently you're getting a little bit of flack because I was not allowed to come into the. I wasn't invited, and I had no intentions of wanting to go in with Jeranism because
streams for a reason.
I wish I was there.
Here, listen. Those are
people wish they were there. I did not want to be there. It was never offered. I would not have accepted it.
Discussions are not open hangouts, and there's a reason for that. I mean, one, we don't want to turn into a clusterfuck, and it's supposed to be one person talking about it to another person. That's how it's right. So it's not like these open hangouts. We do have other open hangouts, but yeah, I didn't invite anybody to that. That was no slam against Halsoy. I know Halsoy is one of the best debunkers out there.
Yeah,
I was sticking up for you, Steve, because I never asked to go in.
Sorry, you're all the same.
I never asked to go in. People were in the chat were wanting me to go in, and I never acknowledged them because I had no intentions of going in because I know how the Non-Sequitur show works. It's a one-on-one kind of thing. So I didn't want to, impose my will onto you. No, this is Jesse and Jaren. Leave it be.
Well, and speaking of,
come on in, of course. If there's like an open hangout, sure.
And speaking of the name of the show and the channel, how many non-sequiturs did Jaren actually use? I lost count.
Yeah, somebody said something along the lines of, if somebody says perspective, take a drink, and I was like, fuck. How about if you just every time he got something wrong or had a non sequitur, you'd be fucking shit faced.
If I was asked beforehand to go on the Jaren, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But it wasn't a me and Jaren show; it was a Jesse and Jaren show. So
we gave Jesse his time. Now I gotta admit, I like Jesse a lot. Don't get me wrong, and this is not a slam against him, but most of the shit he has is very dry. Let's be realistic.
Are all the shows that you do in sort of a debate, like one person on an opposition sort of stance perspective? I haven't seen all the shows, so
we have a wide variety. For example, like on my channel, we have a one-on-one called "Let's Talk About You" with Shannon Q, and I bring in somebody diametrically opposite from her perspective that she knows nothing about, and she has about an hour to 90 minutes to find out about that person, and it is fun as fuck.
No, right on.
I like those.
And she's actually really good at it. She's great at communicating, and she was actually on my channel last night. We were actually talking about flat earthers, ironically, but specifically, but conspiracy theorists in general, and ways to actually approach them. Because what we're doing tends to make adversaries out of them.
You mean we're not supposed to use a pitchfork and fire?
Yeah.
Really? Shannon, right? I mean, nobody has had a conversation with Shannon that walked away going, "What a bitch."
No,
right? Nobody, right?
I would correct you on that, dude. I would correct you on that. G-Man did.
G-Man liked it. But listen, we got two.
I'll be fair.
No. Go watch his latest video.
Afterwards,
after.
Be fair and honest here, Steve. I didn't watch any of the Shannon shows. If I was to watch one, which one would you recommend to break my virginity of the Shannon show?
Wow, that's a hard question. That's what you're looking for.
Rand Campbell.
How about the one with Ocean?
You're into flat earthers.
I one with Rose Patton too. No, not Rose Patton, Godless Girl, because Godless Girl is such a troll. But even she, Shannon.
She couldn't fool Shannon. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of telling, but we do have two people coming up. One of them, I don't think you guys know, but Shannon had challenged me to get this person. I mean, outright just challenged me, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm down for it." And I got him. I got this person. You guys don't know who he is, I don't think. Maybe some of you might, but he's relatively new on the scene, but just. And so that's going to be really interesting because she really wants to talk to this guy, and I might have Rose Patton, so that'd be fun too.
Christian.
Yeah,
that conversation will go down to 25 minutes. Is how long that one will last.
Seeing that I came on and talked with Rose for about 15 minutes while I was on break.
That was fun, wasn't it?
That was a blast.
That was just her down.
Popular. Yeah.
No,
Damn it, and I missed it.
The conversation content with Rose will be 15 minutes, but it will take an hour and a half because she'll say fuck so many times.
Hey, look at here. We have somebody who I just watched a video of them screaming for 15 minutes about the Lord on a corner, talking about somebody screaming, talking about flat Earth. Just throw that out there, CA. You know.
Wait, wouldn't that work against them because that negative emotion shouldn't that affect them the wrong way?
Cause people to wilt as they come near them or something.
Turn them black.
Yeah,
turn black.
Yeah, the only project I'm working on right now in the background is mostly for a book, but I've been going around doing interviews with different magicians that are also sort of skeptics and whatnot, and basically on the topic of what the effect of learning magic has had on how they view the world and how they view people's gullibility, I suppose, in a way. And I've been interviewing Michael Close and different magicians out there that are kind of openly skeptical or atheists, and did an interview with Eli Bosnick recently and some other folks. Going to be talking
Darren Brown's a good one to talk to.
I'd really like to talk to Darren. I just don't have a direct line to him yet. He's on my hit list of people that I want to sit down and interview. Then I'm going to take all the interviews that I record and compile them together in an overall kind of just book of different, not exact transcriptions, but for the most part, because there's probably a lot of things.
Learning about magic does give you a little more critical thinking. Look, I mean, we all realize that not everything you see is reality. Not everything you see is the truth. There's also a lot of veridical paradoxes. There's a lot of things that we think are wrong. That for example, we love things like the Monty Hall problem, right?
Steve, I hate to interrupt you, but our favorite flat earther is in the outside chat, Multi Tom Tom.
Yay!
Why don't you come in, Multi?
Multi Tom can come in, but he's not my favorite. No, he's your favorite, not mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's bring him.
He's not even close to one of my favorite flat earthers. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Why don't you come in here?
If we had Multi
I would definitely say that learning magic though gives you more of a perspective on how easily people are fooled by simple things. Everybody knows they can be fooled, but they don't necessarily know how simple it is.
He did say in the chat that he wants us to talk about the jet fuel hoax.
What?
That's a fun one.
Hold on. I can sum that up as simply as it's the same thing as no trees on a flat earth. Somebody's trolling and people are biting it.
Yeah. Well, because they don't have critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Do you think there might be? Hang on. Do you think there might be possibly physical brain damage on the flat earthers? But how about a significant portion?
You mean all of them?
Yeah, there is a chance.
Well, I mean, it is quite possible. There's a thing called temporal lobe epilepsy that you don't know you've got. And you'll have these seizures, and it's not like normal epilepsy where you'll have a visible seizure, but the continual damage done to the temporal lobe and the lesions it creates can actually damage the sort of centers of the brain that deal with sort of reasoning and logic. There's a great thing about it by Robert Sapolsky.
We've actually
V. Ramachandran actually has a talk where he explains temporal epilepsy in relation to like hearing voices and your brain determining God.
Right.
So we've actually had a discussion over on Jim Panda's Discord about if you start smoking cannabis before the age of 16, how it affects your brain, and it specifically targets the areas of your brain that are that deal with reasoning and logic. And we have a suspicion. We have a suspicion that that might be prevalent among flat earthers, but we don't know that to be sure. Certainly not Jaren. I wouldn't think Jarens would fall in that category.
You do notice that the majority of flat earthers are like heavy stoners, right? There seems to be a correlation.
There's a lot of them, yeah.
It is a heavy correlation, but there are outliers on the other side too, because I did partake in my younger years and occasionally after my time in the military, but I never got to the level of these fuckwits.
The correlation
I have I also doing magic and doing music and whatnot. I have a ton of friends who are heavy stoners, and they listen to people talk about flat Earth and just can't even wrap their heads around how dumb they are. So I don't know that it's directly correlated.
Maybe not.
I think there's a correlation there. I think that, again, I mean, not everybody who smokes pot is going to get that way, but I think it definitely lends to it. I think it gives an increased probability.
Yeah, it's that whole thing. Correlation does not mean causation.
Sorry.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just one brand of crazy versus another. I mean, a lot of the just regular Christian beliefs are almost just as crazy, just less common to, like the flat Earth is much less common belief, but it's not that much more crazy than Noah's Ark, right?
I think you've
in a lot of ways, and they're not stoners.
I think
just because somebody smokes pot, there's no implication that they're going to have crazy shit. I'm just saying that people that do smoke pot generally seem to be more the ones along the lines that believe crazy shit.
Fair enough. I think the problem you've more got is that people who believe in things like flat earthers and people who like get into these sort of conspiracy theory things, it's about being a contrarian, and it's more about the sort of like the feeding of the ego and the sort of reinforcement of the ego. And I think that plays more into it. And somebody could argue in things like an age where we've got sort of instant gratification and sort of social media and the effects that can have on a developing mind with dopamine regulation and stuff like that, that it could make, somebody who has kind of like pseudo-narcissistic tendencies.
Somebody who would run the Monty Python argument clinic.
Yeah,
that's also paranoia too.
I love the Monty Python.
That wasn't argumentation, that was just contradiction.
No, it wasn't.
Python, the Monty Hall.
God, Monty Python. That's why I laughed.
How do you confuse the two? Come on, man.
That's awesome. No, I love that. That's great.
That is awesome. I'm gonna have to remember that one.
Good job. But I love the Monty Hall problem because I actually have done enumerations of it. I've actually done videos on it, and so I'm pretty intricately familiar with it, except that I call it the Monty Python one. But that's actually great because you have people that are so certain that I'm wrong when I explain to them how, and even when I show them the mathematics, even if I show them the enumerations of how it works, they just entrench themselves and would not accept it to be a veridical paradox. And it's interesting to watch. I find it to be very fascinating because this is something that we're not wrong on. This is something you can demonstrate using math, computer analysis. You can use many different ways to demonstrate that is correct, right? But they still latch onto that. And these are critical thinkers. These are people that are not idiots going, "You're wrong, Steve." And it's like, wow, this is interesting. I'm really enjoying this kind of thing.
Steve. Computer programs can be fake. Like, you don't know what is passing on through the program, It can be made to say anything.
Yeah, you're right, Jeranism. You're right. Sorry. No, but I mean, even with the computer program, you can still do what's called a numerical tree. You can still branch it out and show your nodes and go, okay, here's my event, and then you can branch out from there what the possible conclusions will be, and you can still demonstrate that it's always better to switch.
Yeah, actually, I did do a computer program.
You don't even
of my
have
own.
to go that far. You don't have to, you can write the program yourself, but that would take some actual work, wouldn't it?
Well, I just made a simple thing to test it when I first heard about the Monty Hall problem, and I still didn't really understand it until I saw an explanation of you have to consider each of the 3 doors and whether you would switch or not. And then you really understand why it's better to switch.
The game, too. The rules of the game are critical.
Yeah. There was the...
opportunity to switch, and he can't open the door that you pick.
The real simple solution to Steve is there's a reason why when people figured out what that equation was, changed the format of the show because people knew how to play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Once you start switching,
consequences. Yeah.
Pretty much.
They were losing their prize 66% of the time. So they were losing money on it.
How about that though? Hang on, I'm gonna have to look into that because I think that it really wasn't brought up by. I think it was Marion van Monsant that was actually the person that kind of put that out there. But I think the show had already been over by then, wasn't it?
I don't think they didn't actually have that kind of rules for the show.
No, that's true. Well, they didn't actually have the rules for the show, but the main thing is that he has to give you an opportunity to switch, and because of that, he can't open the door that you pick up. You pick, but. I don't think they had those particular rules, but that's what they always seem to follow, wasn't it?
If we're really
they always give you a chance.
If we're really going to talk about this Monty Hall issue, someone needs to get a hold of Cordis and get him in here.
Because when you picked a door, he would open up a door that you didn't pick, change. That was the format of the show for the big deal.
Can I express some light on this for a second here with the Monty Hall thing?
Of course.
All right. Here's the thing with the Monty Hall. The issue with Monty Hall is that you're actually in. It's basically. Now I got brain lock. It's favoring. It's giving you information in favor of you in what seems to be a random event, but it's not. Let's don't even consider the 3 doors. Let's do 100 doors, okay? And let's start with Monty Hall, where the host has to pick only the goats the entire time, and you pick a car. Well, that would actually favor you the whole time because you have more and more chance of picking a car. It would actually favor you. And the 50% thing with the Monty Hall is, let's say if we have 100 doors and the host does not even know who. Also, sorry, I'm saying I'm actually skipping things. In the Monty Hall situation, if you have 100 doors and the host Monty does not know which one has the car, and he picks up a random one. Anytime it's a car, the game is invalidated, so it forces you to go all the way down to the 2-door situation in order for a valid game to happen. So all the games in which you would have the host pick the car, it has to be invalidated. So when you go down to the 2-door system, it reduces it to 50-50. That's why the Monty Hall will go to 50-50, because no matter what, it will reduce the doors down to 50-50 no matter what. If you have a Monty Hall situation in which the host knows which door has the car, it actually favors you, not the host, because the host has to choose. Has the goat, not the car.
Because he has the information, he has to pick a specific door. He can't open the door of the prize. He can't open your door.
Correct.
He's limited on what door he can open.
Correct.
That information then gives you an advantage by increasing your odds by a third.
Yeah. Correct.
You switch though. If you don't switch, then you still have your initial odds of 33%.
Yeah. If you don't switch, you're stuck with the initial 1/3 that you started with, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Switch, you've got a 66%.
It's one of my favorite things back in the day. That in 6 divided by 2, parentheses 1 plus 2. Yes, people, it's 9. Fuck off if you think you're not. Learn math.
So
6 divided by 2, parentheses 1 plus 2.
Everybody's here is really smart, so maybe somebody can answer this question. According to the flat Earth point of view, what the hell does perspective mean?
Way to avoid an answer. I can answer that. It's not perspective. It's now called flirspective.
Oh. And that was going to be Soundly's answer.
Love that
sure.
shadow, Soundly.
Yes, I love it.
The straightest forward answer you can get to that question is it depends on who you're asking and what context they're using it in.
Well, and that's where I say my answer to that question, what does perspective mean as it relates to flat Earth? Whatever the fuck you want it to.
It's perspective plus magic.
Jared, best.
That's kind of the impression I've been getting.
Yes.
Jared, awesome. The best answer ever.
I think what you should do is every time you take a test, no matter what it is, it could be a history fucking test. Just answer perspective, and you're guaranteed to get an A.
Well, Steve,
guaranteed.
Steve, you remember those Navy test taking skills, right? When in doubt, Charlie out.
I remember answering perspective on every fucking one.
When in doubt, Charlie out.
That.
C.
Hey, that is true too.
I decided to try to answer what perspective means. A long hallway where lights appear to trend down in the distance. This is not the definition of perspective. Try again.
I might have a challenger on my 6 divided by 9 thing because I guarantee it you'll lose on this. I'll have a formal debate on this one with somebody. I challenge anybody. I'll have a formal debate on this particular equation or expression if you don't use the equal sign because I know this inside and out.
0.3 repeating plus 0.6 repeating.
I'll challenge.
I would like to address the perspective thing.
I think you're talking about the math thing. Bummer. I
kind of open with that too, and that is that they want to believe that perspective can somehow take straight lines and make them curved, and that doesn't happen. So what they really mean by perspective is something to do with refraction, is what the best thing I can get out of it, and that's what Jaren was hinting at tonight. That somehow refraction causes the sinking phenomenon that we see, that magically maps to a globe. But for that to happen, for sinking to happen, for that phenomenon to happen, you have to have a denser air above less dense air. So hot water, cold air above it. That causes sinking. That's not the typical atmospheric conditions. So it doesn't make any sense because that's just not what we see on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, even ignoring that, like when he said people saw ships sinking and it was going down bottom first, and they said, it can only be done by curvature of the Earth, and I was like, what the hell are you talking, dude? I mean, people have calculated diameters and circumference of the Earth long.
There's something else. There's something a little more practical and something that can be measured that can perfectly explain this, and it makes so much sense. When
the Titanic.
You have a camera that's level, and you have. It's weird that Jaren was actually confirming that the crosshair is above the horizon, even at 1x magnification. But what he's claiming, which is true, and when you zoom in, the horizon gets further and further away from this crosshair. Well, when you magnify the horizon, and when the camera is at level, you're going to get a greater and greater distance from level to the horizon because of the magnification. Can I explain this any more easily?
The field of view doesn't change.
But
the angular measurement between those two doesn't change. It's you're able to see it better.
Yeah, because you're increasing the zoom. It's supposed to increase because of the zoom.
The two-dimensional pixel difference.
Factor in refraction, diffraction, buoyancy, angular momentum, conservation of baryonic charge. Just throw shit out there. That's what you got to do.
Buoyancy and density.
And the fucking tractor beams.
Buoyancy, density.
The heat rays. By the way, the heat rays too. Can't forget the heat rays.
magniflucation,
That's good. Can we make a lexicon just of flat Earth terminology? Because I know they have one. They're actually trying to make it legit. But
I actually have 3 videos. One's called magniflucation, one's called flirspective, one's called flirfraction, where I explain this crap.
Derail, but somebody's challenged me. I like to be challenged. So somebody says that they don't. Well, they're basically implying that the whole 6 divided by 2 parentheses 1 plus 2 is wrong. They think it solves for 1. Can they come in here?
Just let it go, please, Steve.
What is this 6 divided by
Please
1?
go.
What have I missed? I've missed something.
Can I say one word to this, Steve?
Yes.
PEMDAS.
PEMDAS. Or BIDMOS, BODMOS, PPMDS.
Yep. BODMAS.
Does he have a voice? He says he's already in here. I'm not looking at the Discord. I'm looking at the outside.
You hear me at all?
He probably might need to be approved.
Oh wait. No, he's not muted or anything.
Yeah, he's.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's this math problem that you're doing? I missed it.
Divided by, whether with an obelist or a solist, which is slash, 2 parentheses 1 plus 2, which is your parenthetical group.
Alice Knoll.
Okay, so 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, right?
2. Okay, so the way you go about solving this particular, well, you actually evaluate it. It's actually an expression without the equal sign. So the way you would go about evaluating that, you do the parenthetical group first. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. You do exponentials or indices or powers, which there are none in this expression, so you have none. The next thing would be multiplication or division, depending on the order it's appearing in the expression. So here, division appears first, and you're reading it from left to right. So you have to evaluate the 6 divided by 2 first, which gives you 3, and then 3 times 3 is 9. That is how you evaluate this using standard order of operations.
That's correct. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but the 2, you got the parentheses. Okay, you got 2 plus 1. Okay, and you got the 2 just outside the parentheses. You multiply 2 times 2, then 2 times 1. So you got 4 plus 2, which is 6.
But that's not standard.
Can you run that by me again here?
That is the standard operation of that procedure.
No, can you say it again? I honestly didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. You got the parentheses. Okay, you got 2 times, or 2 parentheses 2 plus 1. Okay. So the way you solve that is 2 times 2 is what? 4 plus 2 times 1.
I understand what you're doing. Let me explain why that's wrong, though. That's my thing. Hang on. Let me explain why it's wrong, because this is my thing here. Okay. The reason why that's wrong is because what you're doing is called multiplication over addition. Okay, it's distribution of multiplication over addition. Multiplication over addition, you're doing ahead of the division operator. If you notice, there's an obelisk there. You cannot do multiplication by what you're doing, because literally it's called distribution of multiplication over addition, over that plus sign. You're now going out of order of operations because you didn't do the division first. What you have to do to evaluate that correctly is 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then you can distribute, and then it's 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying and at the actual order of operations, but the 2 putting right next to the parentheses like that, that's one entire operation by itself.
I have a suggestion.
It is multiplication by implicit multiplication by juxtaposition, but it's still multiplication. You can make it explicit, and you can still say 6 divided by 2 with an explicit operator times parenthetical group 1 plus 2. And if you do it that way, it still has to go for 9. It has to evaluate the same way.
I have a suggestion. Copy it and paste it into Google search.
Then all my college professors were wrong?
Depends, because some college courses will tell you we will assume implicit multiplication by juxtaposition has a higher precedent of order of operations. Some college courses do that. The reason being is the calculators they use is usually easier to input the expression directly into the calculator that way. But if you look at something in an inline notation like this, without that notation to change the order of operations, you evaluate it in what we call Markiness, which basically means what is the most standard convention. Standard convention is SOP or OOP, which is order of operations, or PEMDAS.
Okay, but in my college professors were wrong, because now
Yep, he's
Because
wrong.
look at an algebraic equation then. What about?
I guarantee this is something that I started on YouTube on this particular problem, and so this was my biggest pet peeve because people kept fucking it up, and I don't know why. It just was one of my things I don't know. Just my pet peeve.
Do you want to see Steve get mathematically triggered?
Triggered me on this thing before, wasn't it,
Sean?
Point 0.9 repeating is not one.
That's what you triggered me on. I'm sorry. So you agree with me on 9?
I remember that one.
Yeah. But Sean, do you agree that this is 9?
Yes, this is 9.
0.9 repeating is 2-1.
It is.
I know that, but I know that it triggers Steven.
Steve, think of the old. Think about the guy walking halfway across the street and then cutting that distance to half and cutting that distance to half, cutting that distance to half, and apparently never reaching the other side because the distance in half to infinity and never can reach the other side. Well, actually, if you count all of those spaces smaller and smaller to infinity, you actually will reach the other side.
The summation is 1/2 plus 1/4 plus 1/6 plus 1/8 ... You take the summation and that equals 1. It solves for Zeno's paradox. Yeah, again.
If we answered your math problem simply with Aleph null, would that make somebody both right and infinitely wrong at the same time?
Ooh.
Null.
Wouldn't that make them not even wrong?
Yeah, it's not even wrong. It's not even
realities. I'm just glad like the flat earthers can't even comprehend calculus, because if they did and listening to this shit, they would just be.
I didn't understand what pi was.
They can't comprehend geometry. Why do you want to go to calculus?
Oh God!
Like I said,
I was going to say. I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to somebody on somewhere else, and so I thought I had said it wrong, and so I really was questioning. Did I fuck up a simple C/D equals pi thing? Did I mess that up?
We need to get somebody in here that can deal with the calculus of general relativity.
Listen to all those scientimists preaching their religion.
Just imagine if we started doing derivatives with them.
Oh God!
Well, I have a video on derivatives. I mean,
I know
on the GDC channel. So.
They'd probably be pouring salt around the computer. You cannot pass.
Out of this house.
I gotta admit, I was pretty surprised that I remembered how to explain a Taylor series.
Yeah, that was good. I liked it.
That took some recall. Okay. So
I would have just Googled it. I can't remember that for sure.
It's always e to the x divided by e to the x equals n. E to the x equals x to the n divided by x n factorial. Right, that's the summation.
Oh yeah, that's not too bad. And then you can solve for the Euler identity of e to the.
Oh, I love Euler's identity.
E to the I pi equals -1.
Yeah, because it comes from the formula of e to the I theta, which is equal to cosine theta plus I sine theta.
When I saw someone explain that, I was just like,
"Oh, people."
That's like rotating through math.
I love that shit. I thought Euler's formula was probably the most beautiful, magical formula of all of mathematics, in my opinion.
I have it as my Steam avatar.
Because, I mean, Euler identity is great, don't get me wrong, but that's just a special case of Euler's formula. By the way, you're one of the very few people who got his name right.
Yeah.
That formula is just majestic how it works.
Everybody says Euler.
That's what I said at first.
Euler.
Yeah, Euler.
How many flat earthers
Too bad
do you
that
think
dude's
understand
nuts.
Euler's formula? Come on, really?
They never heard of Euler.
Did you guys realize what Jaron was doing in the Hangout? He was trying to make non-Euclidean geometry fit the flat. He was basically saying that the flat Earth is supposed to make triangles make over 180 degrees. He was doing all this kind of crazy shit with Euclidean geometry, trying to make flat earther like fit non-Euclidean.
Spherical geometry doesn't work for plane.
Flat Earth, right?
You guys didn't catch on. You guys didn't see that shit.
Oh yeah, we did. I did. I was like, "You're full of shit."
It drove me fucking nuts.
Answer's 9. Thank Jesus. Thank
well,
you.
He has to have some way to explain why the triangle doesn't add up. So there you go.
Now wait a minute. Flat Earth is full of shit.
Wait, what?
Will go to
It's all
George says it's right,
perspective,
right.
guys. It's all perspective.
Yes.
And actually, speaking of perspective, did people see the picture that I put into the stream chat?
No, I missed it.
The hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the passageways near the shop that I had on the boat. Talk about fucking dizzying.
I don't remember this. It's driving me fucking nuts because I don't even remember to look up. There's a name for the defect, and I thought it was called spherical defect, but I could be wrong. What is the name of the defect between a triangle that is on a Euclidean plane, which is 180, as opposed to that same triangle on a sphere? It's going to be obviously greater than 180. That difference between those two triangles has a name, and I can never fucking life of me remember. I thought it's called spherical defect or something, and I don't even remember what it is. Google it.
I actually looked this up when I was watching one of Thrive and Survive's videos because he screwed up his entire triangle on a sphere, and I ended up looking it up, and I can't remember it. I'll find it again real quick.
I mean, nuts because I it's one of those things that you know, but you can't fucking remember. Inspiration? No, I don't think it's not spherical. It's something. Fuck, I'll know it when I hear it. Right? One of those things you know when you hear it.
All I know is that curvilinear algebra definitely applies to that whole situation.
What's called perspective. Okay.
Right. I just know one's hyperbolic, one's spherical, one's flat.
Triple junction reorganization?
Something along those lines.
Curvilinear perspective was used by Jaren whenever he was evaluating the planes under.
Oh, God.
I just know elliptic.
It's reticulous flying curvilinear flirvature. Okay.
Curvilinear flirvature?
Yeah, that's a curvilinear flirvature. Sure.
You're catching on, Steve. You're catching on.
I can do this all day.
but the thing is, Steve, like the reason, I mean, even though if there is a name for that, I don't know. It really doesn't mean anything. Like, I guess it's because it only means to some of the flat earthers. I guess.
Is it a discrepancy?
No, it's just mainly the different. Sorry.
Because I'm trying to find it, but I have no idea.
It's the difference.
It's spherical excess.
Thank you. That's it. Spherical excess. Jesus Christ. I'm going to write that motherfucking thing down so I'm never going to forget this ever again.
I mean, that's straight to the point,
Spherical excess. Thank you. I do look to Google that.
Spherical excess.
I'm curious about one thing about the flat Earth sort of theory outside of their attempt to come up with their own mathematics. Where do they get this idea of extra continents outside of the first ice ring? And I know some of them have names for all these. Have they gotten this through channeling or something? Or
first they have not ever invented their own mathematics. They don't even know the only thing they've ever invented were names, were for puns, and they don't actually for anything.
You didn't say it was functional mathematics.
It's okay. Point taken, I guess.
No, I'm just curious because I know I've seen all these extra continents and stuff and whatnot, and I'm just kind of curious. Did somebody just make this up one day, or is it based on some book somewhere?
No, tell me the continent names.
A lot of it, they made it up. I mean, think of it, Africa, the big dick thing with Africa, with whatever. Dude, they make shit up all the time, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, it's made up in the way of they've based it on something like some old legend or something, or is it just pull it out of a hat?
Spirit science talking about Atlantis and whatever that other.
No, this is something
channeling and all this,
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, the Taurus thing was spirit science. That was actually Cool Hard Logic covered that years ago, and they thought that if they could pull something back that was far enough back where nobody could catch it, that whole Taurus shit, that's actually from spirit science and Cool Hard Logic from
real
years
quick.
ago.
Did somebody boot Christian Anarchist?
There's the land bridge though.
Did somebody boot Christian Anarchist from the Discord or anything?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think he just left.
You can pull up the admin log and find out.
Okay, he's just curious. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with him. See if he did something wrong, and I'm like, of course not.
No, he's a good person.
I love Christian Anarchist. I was just busting his chops because he sounded like a raving madman in his video.
Dude.
Jesus will love you, and John said, and Mark and Matthew, whatever. It's just weird.
Yeah, he's a bit of a strange guy.
I posted the image of the extra continents that you're talking about.
It looks like one of those
Lemuria.
Yeah, it's
no. Lemuria is completely different. So
no. It's just, well, that's what I'm saying. It's the fictional bullshit they made up.
It looks like an inkblot test.
It does look like a Rocher test, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I've seen another one that had like other ice circles with other suns out there. It was weird.
We'll try to figure out this rice thing.
You are so that's just dual. No, that's just dual to
this because I obviously I don't buy into the bullshit, but I want somebody to do this experiment just because I don't know why.
No, I can link you to something. No, I can link you to something. Someone actually did the experiment because that's what the guy said.
That video has 200,000.
But wait a minute. The people that have done this experiment, do you think they've actually recreated his conditions?
Oh no!
Was that the CSI cop one?
I don't know.
For starters, for starters, his condition is so retarded that he doesn't even cover the petri dish. I mean, the jars with anything, dude. Like it is open. Completely open to what do you call it? Mold formation, spores, everything. I can show you the video. Like, let me give me a quick second. I'll find the video for you.
Well, just send it to me later. You got my email. Send it to me that way or something.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'll just post it in the stream chat.
I was like, "This is possible," and I'm like, "Oh, well, anything's possible."
Yeah, that was sad.
Maybe the bad emotional vibrations create a path for the bacteria spores. That must be it.
Thank you.
I posted the link in the stream chat, Steve. This is the actual YouTube video.
Thank you.
Didn't want to come to the after show?
Invite him. Invite him if you can. Please.
You can invite him.
Who?
I don't have his details.
Who are we inviting? Like anybody could literally just walk in here anyway. It's not like it's our.
Jeranism.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you take a look at the actual
200,000 views.
I mean, not that I'm not going to shut the stream down in 20 minutes here, because it's been going for almost 2 hours.
These late night Discord things. I can't talk very loud after like 10 or 11, so but I'm enjoying them. I like listening to them as I fall asleep.
I'm actually the same way. I can't talk very loud either. I don't have any way to stream in the stream chat. I don't have any way to post anything in stream chat.
Well,
this rice thing, because like I said, I've heard it done with plants.
Oh,
rice, baby.
And that was the thing with the MythBusters experiment. They played it up like they found some kind of result at first because they hit the plant and it happened to spike. But later on in the episode, they kept doing it and nothing was happening, and sometimes it would just spike for no reason.
Yeah, I think they had very poor controls.
Yeah, pretty much.
They hooked the plant up to an EKG and slapped it, pretty much.
Well, do you guys remember?
What do you expect?
This might be before your time. Some of your old farts out there might remember.
I remember.
Do you guys remember Kirlian Photography?
What was it?
Yeah.
Photography was big back in the day in the 70s, and what it was basically, you took two electrical plates and charged them up, and you put a photographic plate between them, a film, and then you put something on it like a leaf or a hand or something, and then you passed a current through the plates, and then basically you took a photograph of it, and it produced this electrical discharge around the object. Not a big deal. Kirlian Photography is a legit thing. But
so the real question there is, did Goku have any problems with that?
Over 9,000.
Well, I was going to ask if you got any change in your aura from doing that.
Let me finish, because what this was proof to people back then of an orb. What they did was they took a leaf, and they cut the leaf in half. First, they took the image of the whole leaf, right, and it showed the electrical discharges around it. Then they cut the leaf in half, and they put it back on the emulsion plate. And guess what? It showed the whole leaf. It showed an outline of the image of the portion that was missing. Now, listen to some critical thinking here. And by the way, I actually a little bit bought into this because this was back when I was a kid, right? I didn't know any fucking better. But I was like, wow, that's amazing. It's, what is causing this image? Because it's showing the part of the film, the part of the leaf that's not there. Causing that.
Wait,
they determined it to be.
It just goes through the leaf. Would be my assumption.
When they cut the leaf in half and they put it back in the same place, the moisture from the leaf was still on the photographic emulsion plate.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they changed the plate in between.
Change it. So it was just a residual thing from the moisture left over. When they did repeat the experiments and things like that with new plates, guess what?
Didn't happen.
The leaf, right? So I mean, you have to have really good controls, but it also goes into how people buy into the stuff. I was a kid. I didn't have critical thinking skills as much as I do now back then. I thought there might be something to it, but I also thought of ancient aliens too. So whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believed in prophecies and everything, dude. Come on.
Cool.
Everybody has.
But I was like, oh, this is pretty nifty, right? Oh, Sardonia, face on Mars. How to get there?
Well, let's not forget that von Daniken used a fuck ton of question marks in his book. So he was asking questions. He wasn't making assertions.
He was so dishonest, dude. Changed data to fit his story. I mean, he was weaving a story.
That's why I had to say that.
Search of ancient astronauts. I read Chariots of the Gods.
Oh man, not that stuff.
Even I forgot a point. I wanted to touch on a point that Jeranism made, but I forgot. Crap.
You want to hug him? Do you want to hug Jeranism and say nice things to him?
Probably no.
I would actually like to refer to Jeranism as a control that he ignored, but you just can't ignore him.
Well, I was about to offer to hug him with a smallpox blanket, and I'm not worried about it because I had the smallpox vaccine while I was in the Navy.
I can ignore him.
He could just start.
Wasn't that bad? It was a peanut butter shot that got you.
With an upward inflection.
People
could say it was a question.
Yeah, but they know what that means if we call him rice hugger? You guys talk to flat earthers all the time. Call them rice huggers and tell me what they say. I'm curious.
Why would who's Gamer Tamer? Does anybody know who this guy is? Because he just asked the weirdest question. I've never heard this one. Why would Buzz Aldrin say aliens watch them land on the moon?
I don't think he ever said that.
I don't think he said that either.
I think he's thinking of something Alex Jones said on a Joe Rogan interview.
No,
or he could have been telling a joke.
What if he did say it?
I know why Buzz Aldrin said it, and that's because Gamer Tamer is high out of his gourd.
Okay.
Simply citation needed.
We also know that Alex Jones is like the most legit person out there. I mean, we know everything.
I know what he's talking about. There's a video.
Right, completely legit.
There's a video.
Go ahead, Soundly.
Alex Jones is the only person I get my news from. That's why I know you're all reptilian.
No. See, I can't think of a scenario where he actually said that. He was probably talking about life in the universe or life in the galaxy, Kind of given the possibility that...
It's
Good
not
luck
Buzz,
with the citation on that one.
It's not Buzz Aldrin.
It just gets gay frogs, that's all. That's why.
Look, I really care about information, so anybody who is brave enough to start a war to fight for it has got to be legit.
Okay, so...
They're InfoWars, right?
Hey.
So...
Let Soundly talk, guys. Come on.
He's referencing this conspiracy theory about Neil Armstrong saying that they are watching us, that they're on the side of the crater. There's some video out there.
It was Aldrin.
No, it was Neil Armstrong that did that.
I've seen just about every NASA video you can possibly look at. There is absolutely nothing that conspirators, whether it's flurfers or moon hoaxers, seen it all. I've watched the entire 100 plus hours of the boring ass Apollo 11 mission from beginning to end, which they only show the highlights on YouTube.
Well, this guy's high and just not a Poe. I mean, you have experience with him? Or just fundamentally stupid? I mean, I picked your poison.
One of the three, flip a coin, and yeah, we'll go with that one.
Yeah, well, if coins only give you two choices.
Yeah. I think you might have made a comment or two on my videos, but
that was the point, Steve.
Good. You're fucking with me, just like Jaren did, didn't he?
No, it might land on its edge. That's the third side.
Do you guys remember?
Yeah, almost had me convinced I didn't know what pi was. I don't know.
Do you guys remember Stephen Greer? You remember that guy? He was the guy that did the. He was trying to do the disclosure project, where he had a bunch of people come in and give their testimony on aliens and alien ships that they had witnessed and stuff like that. He's one of the ones that anyway the whole Buzz Aldrin thing. I'm not sure actually where it comes from. I don't know where the source comes from, but I remember him talking.
Well, Gamer says he got still the same flight though. He got the flight right, but the name of the astronaut wrong. Minor detail.
Okay, I actually got the source. I actually got the source. It's a YouTube video.
Oh, if it's a YouTube video, that's got to be true.
I'm trying to get permissions from to post stuff in the side chat and in the stream chat, because I mean I can post to you guys a metric ton of citations already that would just completely end the vast majority of these claims. It just it's unreal.
I don't need any assistance with it, but
okay,
sure.
if you guys need
nothing will end it. We all know that.
Well, I mean,
if you guys need a breakdown on this topic, I can give it to you. Like on this one, I just finished reading.
If you want to just tell me no, I'm not going to give you permissions to post in the channel. Just tell me no. I mean, I don't need that.
I don't care.
Whatever. No, I don't. No, I don't.
What are you talking about?
That was okay. Steve, would it be okay if I actually addressed a couple of claims in the chat?
Oh, nuts.
Yeah. So Robert, the thing is, no, it wasn't a reflection of a UFO on the helmets. It was a reflection of light on one of their panels, of the window panels. It was a reflection of the sun. There was actually 4 reflections, and they did actually know it was a reflection of the sun. They landed and they debriefed it. So I think they do.
Go ahead. Oh, they had. You know what? They didn't have stars though, and obviously they're in space. They didn't have stars, ergo they didn't go to the moon.
Yeah, because exposure length isn't a thing.
They don't know that word. I've learned my lesson on that one. They do not know certain words. Exposure is one of them.
They don't know physics. Let's stop it at that.
How many pictures of what I have to show with stars in it for them to believe it?
They don't know what perspective means, but it doesn't stop them from using it.
Well, whenever they're on the day side,
if any of them actually did go to a physics course, how would they do? They don't know the terminology. How are they going to survive in that course? Could they pass it?
They would answer.
No, they would just fail
on every question.
Most of them would do fine because they're probably trolls.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, they would fail it and say that the globalists are suppressing the truth, or trying to suppress them, or whatever.
Or they would say,
Glover math.
I mean, I passed the class, but I still don't believe it. I just choose not to believe that sort of thing.
I can see that as well, right? I did the work just to get by, but I didn't believe it at the time. I've seen biologists.
People have literally said
yeah.
that. It keeps happening.
There is this guy, right, who is an evolution denier. He pretty much went and got a PhD so that he can use his PhD to deny evolution.
Well,
what is his name?
I don't have any kind of ability to.
You need that credibility.
I don't have any type of ability to type in stream chat. It says I do not have permission to send messages on this channel.
I don't have that either.
I'm trying to post citations, and I can't.
He needs the VIP. He needs the VIP.
Me and I'll post in the chat for you.
You can use the GDC voice text.
Jeez, I don't know if that feature.
It's another channel down lower.
Wait, you can't post a stream chat? Is that what it's telling you, Kaiser?
Yeah, I can't post any text in the
Down to GDC voice text. Anybody can post there.
voice text.
Oh, wait, why wouldn't you be able to?
Talking about?
It's just down below. It's in the area called the arena.
Move you down there.
Yeah, but I can't post it though. I can't.
Try now.
I can't.
Try now.
Okay.
No, I think
I can see it now.
it
Was changed. I'm trying to post citations. I'm trying to do this for everybody here. Like when people are talking about things.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of guy that likes to post citations and measure
voice text.
No. People... Kaiser, try it now. I just gave you the role that probably will let you do.
Now.
Yeah, you should be able to do it.
All right.
We all know Kaiser, Steve.
Yeah, I know Kaiser too.
Who?
You know, I'm I only do empirical data.
Yeah.
All the stuff, like literally, like 90% of the crap that Jaren was spouting in that hangout, I could have destroyed him easily.
We all could have.
Dude, so many of us could have. That's not the problem, right? The problem is
you could have done it.
Yeah.
The thing with Jaren though is once you start getting cornered on a topic, he will definitely change topics.
Oh, he was.
Or just say you're not answering the question he asked or something.
He was gift
and that's what he. Yeah. Well, but he had the opportunity to do because he took advantage of what I thought was an absolute disgusting disgrace. You know, Jesse had to leave because I don't know, but you guys, like Jesse, he actually could benefits to society. He has real world problems. He has people who depend on him. He has a job. He has a career.
Yeah.
And for him to waste his time, some absolute waste of human skin like Jaren shows the level of saint he is, and that just I couldn't deal with it. It was.
Here's the thing, and it pains me to say it because Jesse just lost somebody who's important to him. Yeah. But I can see Jaren making a video in the next 12 hours about how the person that died in Jesse's life is just a red flag so we can get out of the debate.
No, I don't think he'll do that.
I think he will. I think he will. I can.
You got to remember, whenever somebody dies, Jaren thinks it's part of a conspiracy.
And I just, you have no idea how red I'm seeing because of this. I'm seeing it happen. I'm sorry.
It's okay, Kaiser. I mean, a lot of us. I mean,
I talked to Jaren. I've been talking to Jaren. He was rendered or something, but yeah, he's not going around thinking that Jesse.
Well,
think about this, Steve. Every time that there's some kind of death in America, he thinks it's a conspiracy to cover up flat Earth.
This is Jesse's family. What would be the point of a death to cover up flat Earth for that?
I mean, I gotta wonder if he thinks the death of Stephen Hawking was covering up flat Earth.
It wouldn't suit his narrative. It would look very bad for him because that, I don't think.
No, dude.
I mean, like, heartless.
People are already starting to say that. A screenshot, like a Photoshop screenshot, was circulating of Stephen Hawking's supposed Facebook page. Let me see if I can find it. Actually, it should be in my browsing history.
Well, while you're looking for that, Steve, that unlisted hangout that Soundly had mentioned earlier, I was listening to it, and a couple times the typical conspiracy nutter topics came up: 9/11, Sandy Hook, Boston bombing, all those events, and the claim straight from Jaren's mouth was, "I don't think anyone died during any of those events."
I believe that. No, I think he's a conspiratorial nut when it comes to that. Look, all that shit goes hand in hand. Let's be realistic, right? I mean, when you start going down that rabbit hole, it's kind of like a free fall, right?
Yeah.
So
nothing
surprises me with any of them.
It
just doesn't anymore.
Yeah, that's where I wouldn't be surprised if Jaren goes down that route of this whole thing with what happened with Jesse.
No.
It would be a dick move, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I can't.
He would only hurt himself.
say
You did
if
it with Sly.
Hang on,
You
let
did
me
it
let me
with
say this.
Sly.
I think it would, if it benefited him, he would probably do it. But in this particular case, I don't think he even thinks it would benefit him. I don't see no way it would benefit him in any way, shape, or form.
He did it with Sly. If he
That's
with Sly,
possible.
he could do it with anyone.
But
Well, and that's where I'm not expecting him to, but it would not surprise me.
Yeah.
I would think he'd be more likely to blame the stream dropping on NASA's weather balloons.
Now that I could see.
Yeah, well, that was that sucks because we did use a new encoder, and I had increased from 2,500 to 4,000 just to keep the bit rate up. And there's Skype. I'm sorry, I hate Skype. I fucking hate Skype. Skype, please die. I think Skype is the fucking most horrible program out there. And yeah, Kyle loved it, right? But Kyle loves Skype. I hate it.
We're all with you on that, Steve. Trust me, that's why we're here.
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get. Almost everybody I've talked to says Skype fucking sucks, but Kyle loves Skype. So we use Skype.
Yeah, it used to be one of the best options.
It was the best option for a while. Now it's terrible.
Yeah, like Microsoft started bundling it, and it's become a bloatware now.
It's bloatware. It's invasive. It fucks with my processes. It's horrible. It's just fucking horrible.
Yeah, I literally
it's been ever since Microsoft grabbed it.
I literally had to block the ads on Skype because it was ruining my computer.
Believe you.
So now I just can't do stuff. So I had to block it, and now it works great.
I'm going to be paying for Discord next month. I'm going to be doing the upgrade. I really am.
I did it. You'll
I try to
definitely
convince
enjoy
him
it.
that Skype is horrible. We shouldn't be using it for our podcast or for our shows, but I'm outvoted on that. So whatever. I think there's other services we can use that probably are better.
I love George in the chat.
Skype is absolute trash, honestly.
I mean, you could even use Mumble, and that would be better.
I mean, how long has it been since they actually updated Skype's service?
Speak, I have all that shit because I was a gamer. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why can't you just use Discord? It seems to work pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. You already got it set up.
I love Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts, I think the sound quality is pretty decent on it.
It works on every device, and you can hook up your Google Voice phone number to it. So, like, all of your devices will ring. So, if you don't have your phone next to you, you can answer on your iPad or your computer, whatever. Love that.
There's always a
I just George in the chat real quick.
George,
fucking snipers, man. That is a bug that has lasted for too long. How long has that been around? A year?
It's not a bug. It's a feature.
It's a feature. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Sniping and hangouts.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
Working as intended.
Yep, that's their
Where
excuse.
did I see that?
But Steve, I was going to ask. So, who is this that was voting on which encoder platform to use?
Encoder platform's different. We usually use OBS, and
What the heck were you using? Was it like XSplit?
Oh, we were using Streamlabs.
No,
OBS.
he was using OBS.
Streamlabs version of OBS.
No, don't do
Not
that. Streamlabs is bad. Just use the open source. I mean, the normal version.
Right, but Streamlabs gives you the opportunity to have donations and stuff.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
can still have normal OBS with Streamlabs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as a viewer, whichever one you were using tonight, shit can it.
Don't do it.
No, I get that. We never tried. We never used it before. I know how to use it. I've been using OBS the entire time. Never had a problem.
Yeah.
Encoder. So let me ask you though.
So, no. Which encoder were you doing? Were you using?
Streamlabs OBS.
And Steve, you gotta apologize to Jesse. Gotta apologize to Jesse. That was like the most fucked up night.
That's what he means. That's what he means, Ganesh. He means streaming
Term
software.
encoder for the OBS, not
Not the actual H.264 or whatever.
And not the. I'm not talking about
okay, got it. You were using
a real encoder, which you're referring to. No, I'm just using the term colloquially.
Yeah.
There's
the stream.
There's a bot that you can get for Discord that will record a Discord conversation, and not for live. I mean, you can stream live, but it'll actually save everybody's individual audio in a separate file, so that you
We
can
want video.
also,
We want people to have
everything.
webcam. We want the features of Skype, but not. I don't want Skype any longer.
Yeah.
So basically,
But anyways, how do
Yeah.
Using this, if you're not using the Streamlabs in OBS, is there still a way you can somehow put the widget into a normal OBS to show when somebody has subscribed or something?
Yeah, you can do that. That's how I'm using it.
Okay, so what do you do? Just go to the webpage. You just
yeah,
make
you
the
can
widget?
open your Streamlabs link. Okay, go to your dashboard.
A widget.
And you will. I'm sorry.
You're breaking up, Steve.
Yeah, Steve is breaking up.
My 2 cents on the whole Discord thing, as far as going to YouTube live streaming, I'm not sure what encoders people have been using, but most of the live streams I've seen on that people have used Discord for the actual conversation, a lot of audio gets broken up and dropped. Seems to be random. Doesn't seem to be a bandwidth issue. It just seems to be an encoder issue. So
YouTube?
Not sure what's going on with it.
Well, no, here in Discord, but I noticed it not so much on the live streams I've watched, but actively here in Discord, I've heard it more.
But what happens on that is I think that people's voice activation is set off, and so it clips what they're saying sometimes.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
But okay, so I will try with the old OBS, and then I'll try a widget on that and go from there. The only reason I like the Streamlabs is because it gives you real-time analytics, and I like that. But I can use a web page for that.
Dude, I can give you a couple of links where you can multi-stream, and you can maintain your own dashboard.
Yeah, I can
like you can just have it open.
Well, I figure. I mean, you can go to a web page to get the labs, right? The dashboard, you can get that from a web page.
Yeah, you can just create a customized web page so that you have everything in one place. Your stream stats, your chat, everything. You know.
So why is the Streamlabs one not working as well as the normal OBS? I mean, it's supposed to port everything over. It's supposed to be identical.
No. They actually made a couple of changes. So what happened was they actually wrote their own modules for a couple of things. I forgot what the exact changes were, but it is not optimized basically for.
It is there a known problem with Skype having issues with it?
Yeah, it's not just Skype. It's Streamlabs OBS is optimized for YouTube.
Reese C wants to know who's all going to do the rice love experiment.
It's already been done, man.
Oh, I might as well break this to you. This is news. We didn't announce this yet, but Debbie, we're having on Sunday, by the way. Yes.
If they're modularized, and there's individual channel, dude, yeah, that's fucked up. Like, that's bad.
Kaiser,
I'm not a big fan of.
I'm just saying. Look, this guy said that the new program is on a modular design, and the channels don't have control over this modular design. That's bad.
Yeah, that's bad. So, anyway.
By the way, Steve, quick question. Did you import your settings from OBS to the new OBS Streamlabs?
It did it automatically, yeah. Imported everything.
Yeah, that will increase your CPU usage by 30 to 40%. So what happens is, you have to delete any browser source and use the inbuilt widgets. So in your original OBS, you would have used browser sources, right?
Yeah, Debbie, the talk with JD Kane and took up 99% of the time talking. Well, good lord. You're expecting me to have a conversation with her?
I don't know what the fuck we're doing. I can't stand that kind of shit, but whatever. It seems to be entertaining to people.
And the only entertainment value I got out of the JD Kane stream was the fact that she never shut up.
She's weaponized stupidity.
Oh, I watched 10 minutes of it and I'm done. I couldn't watch it. It was unwatchable.
She's weaponized stupidity, dude. She's just
that is arguably the best description I've heard of her.
Yeah, but is she
2.5 hours of her talking? JD Kane maybe spoke for 3 minutes of the entire time.
His closing made the most sense it ever did, though.
Was she like a?
Oh, what about when she was just going off about, oh, this is so rude, when JD had the phone call and said, hang on, the phone's ringing, I have to answer this.
And I don't like dealing with that type. I like somebody who's less articulate. Like Jeranism, say what you want about him, but he's well spoken.
I'll give him that.
He almost sold me a used car today.
I was being facetious, folks. I'm serious. All right.
All right, gentlemen. At this point, the stream has been running for 2 hours, and we're going to call it a night. The Discord will remain open, obviously, because it's Discord. So you can continue the conversation, but I'm letting the outside know we are closing down for the night. This has been This has been the after show for the Jeranism Kozlowski Discuss Flat Earth and Geodesy Live after show.